questions as we move along. For those who would like to access the system, please just raise your hand and someone will just come through to assist you. Thank you.
All right, so now we finished confirming our details. Now we want to log into the system and use it. So if you are the third person that I talked of, the person that had all their details, their contact details, so you went through the system, you went through this page until the bottom, and you confirmed your details, you put in your password and confirmed your details, then no one from MICT SETA has to approve you again. So there you already approved. The only time where you need to be approved is if we didn't have your details previously, because then someone needs to check and make sure that you are an actual assessor. Otherwise, anyone can just go on there and say, yes, I am an assessor. So if we had your details, you can then just go to the login page, which is, like I said, stakeholder login, and then put in that email address that you used to register, so that email address that you used to send the OTP to, and then the password that you put at the bottom, this password. To create an account, please input your password below. So you put that password that you put here. Remember to retype it here. So you put the password there, and then you retype it there. And then you just click that and that. So you then go to the login page. You go to the login page, and then you're able to log into the system. If you have several profiles on the system, and this is what I explained earlier, so you can be an assessor, but also work with learning programs. That is fine. Or you can be an assessor or moderator and also be an SDP or an SDF. So you just go back to the registration page and then you register as a new role. So either assessor, moderator, SDP, SDF that deals with SSP, or learning programs that deals with applying for DG grants. So once you log in, the system will know, okay, this specific person, Mark, is an assessor, is a moderator, is a subject matter expert, is a learning program facilitator as well. So it will show you all the roles that you can do on the system, the roles that you registered for, okay? So you just scroll to the role that you want to deal with. So you can see there are so many roles here. So you just scroll to the role that you want to deal with, which is assessor for this presentation, and then you click on it. This will take you to to your dashboard, to your profile page as an assessor. Okay? Are we still together? All right. So just to explain this page, so this is what we call a dashboard. In the top left hand here, what we put as announcements. So if there are any announcements that MICT SETA wants to send to you specifically, to you as assessors, you'll find them there. So this could be, make sure to renew your registration. It might be anything, but it's an announcement from MICT SETA to you. So please always check there for your announcements. Next to that is your registration letter. So that's your assessor registration document if you click on it, and your moderator registration document. Underneath that are your assessment requests. Next to that are your moderator requests. Underneath that are your assessment training programs and moderator training programs. So I'll explain those two later on when we get into the links on the left-hand side. At the top here, the first link is your exit button. So that's just your log off button. It's log out onto this to log off the system. Next to that is kind of like an ask. So you just specify the department you want to send your question, whether it's IT or ETQA. You put a title and you put a question, and someone from that department will be able to reply to you, and you'll be able to get an email back for your response. So then you click ask. Next to that is the view user manual. So the user manual are videos that explain to you everything I'm explaining now. So in the user manuals, we shall put a section for assessor registration, a section for assessor renewals, a section for everything that you do on the system. So when you go there are videos. You just click on the video and you'll watch it. Also, what I'm going to do is, once we're done with all the videos, I'm going to put them on each of the pages, telling you, watch this if you want to do this. Watch this if you do not know how to do this. Then you just click on it and you'll be able to watch the video. So we'll try to guide you as you, especially now at the beginning, you're still trying to understand the system. So we put all those videos everywhere to help you understand and know what to do. Next to that are your different roles that you have. So let's say you're done doing your assessor business, you've done assessing the learners, and now you want to apply for a DG grant because it's open. So you just click on that, and then you click on Learning Program Facilitator, which takes you to that role. Or now you want to do some SDP work, some training provider work. Then you just go to Training Provider, you click on that, and it will take you to that role. So basically, this just helps you switch between the roles that you have on the system. Remember, you should have registered for these roles on the system in order for them to be here. So what you register for is what we put here. If you only have one role, which is assessor, then we don't put this here because you don't need to switch to, you can't switch to anything else. And then next to that is your help again, which is the user manual videos and your details there. On the left-hand side is your main menu. We have your dashboard. We have your profile. So dashboard is where we are now. This is what shows you, it shows you a dashboard of your information. Your profile is where you can edit some of your information, so you can edit your personal information. So you can edit your personal information, make sure everything is complete, and then you can confirm details there. So if something changes, your cell phone number, your address, you can always edit it under profile. So after you've just registered, obviously nothing has changed, so you don't have to edit anything. It will pull all your information. But let's say 6 months from now, your cell phone number has changed, just go to profile and edit that information so that we can have your current information. Your address changes, go there and edit it as well. Remember, ETQA, they report, I think, to DHET, and they need to submit all this information regularly, every year. All right, so that's your personal information. If you want to change your password, you click Change Password, and then you can change it there. Every after 40 days, the system will lock you out and ask you to change your password. So when you see that happening, just understand that every after 40 days, your password expires. We're just trying to, add some security there, so then you need to change it every 40 days. But the system will guide you and tell you need to change your password. Underneath that is your registration letters. So these are the letters that, your registration letter. So if you click on that, it will open up your registration letter. So this is for assessor, and that's for moderator. Underneath that are the qualifications that we have that you're accredited for. So you'll be able to find them there, and then the unit standards that you're accredited for as well, if you have any. Okay? Back to the left-hand side. The next section is assessor moderator documents. So the assessor moderator documents are documents that MICT SETA wants to send to assessors. So, for instance, criteria for registration. So if you click on that, it will open up a document that explains the criteria for registration. So they will put up some documents here for you, because think of it as a document library. If MICT SETA thinks that there's something important that they need to send you, they will just put them here for you. So you'll always be able to find those there. Underneath that is applications. So this is where you do your applications. And I'll show you that now. And then next to that is training provider requests, accepted training providers, and programs. I think let's begin with applications. So if you go to applications, you find all the applications you've had on the system. So this is where you do your renewals, extension of scope, renewals and extension of scope. If you're a new assessor, which means you registered on the system under the registration page that I showed you at the beginning, then you need when you go to start new application, it will be new assessor application. So the system also knows where you are in the process, and it will guide you on what kind of application you can do. So if you're a new assessor, the only type of application you can do will be new accreditation, new assessor accreditation. Okay? If you're already accredited on the system and your accreditation period has ended, then what you see there is renewal of accreditation. So it won't be new accreditation, it will be renewal of accreditation. I think the gentleman there, yours will be renewal of accreditation because you're already an assessor on the system. If your accreditation is still valid, then all you can do is extend your accreditation. So what you see there is extension of scope. So that will be to add more qualifications or add occupational qualifications onto your profile. So there are three. There's a new accreditation, which is for new assessors, those who are registering for the first time. Then there's renewal of accreditation, which will be for those who have, whose accreditation has expired. And then the last one is extension of scope, if you want to add more qualifications to your portfolio. Okay? So then you select, there's another one. So if you're a new assessor, or if you are an accredited assessor and you've been an assessor for more than 1 year, then application for moderator will also appear. Okay. Remember, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a new assessor, you need to carry out assessments for at least 1 year, and then you can apply for accreditation as a moderator. So only after 1 year, that will also appear. So the system will guide you. It will tell you, okay, now you've been an assessor for 1 year, so you can now apply to become a moderator, an accredited moderator. So that will also appear at the bottom saying, apply for moderator, accreditation. And then the rest also applies for moderator. So if your moderation period has expired, then you'll see a link there saying renewal for moderator. So there are two different, assessor and moderator. Those are two different roles, but put in one. So you'll see, and it tells you there, for instance, what you see there is assessor extension of scope, moderator extension of scope. Because this person is both an assessor and a moderator, and their profile is still active, or their accreditation is still active. So all I can do now is extend my scope for both of them. Remember, if you extend your scope for an assessor, it does not mean that you've extended for moderator. Okay? Because those are two different type of things. So you might extend your scope for assessor, but you don't extend your scope for moderator. Or you might also apply for different qualifications. So you might be an assessor for end-user computing, but you're a moderator for AI. Remember, this depends on what you want to apply for and also what you qualify for. Okay? All right, so you just select whatever you want to do, and then you click on Start New Application. And then that application will appear in this table. Okay? You'll have three things there. There's a withdrawal of application, which means you just want to delete this application. Maybe you made a mistake, or you've decided, no, I don't want to extend my scope anymore. What I have is more than enough. So you just click on withdrawal of application. So that just means we remove it from your profile. We remove that application. Open opens up the application. Submission timeline is a way for you to keep track of your application. So that you don't have to keep on calling MICT SETA, okay, now where's my application? This will help you keep track of everything. So whatever you do is tracked on the system. Whatever MICT SETA does on your application is also tracked on the system. So you'll be able to know where your application is. So the one that I've just started now will be empty. We'll just have the started there because I've just started it now. Nothing else has happened. But obviously, once you start and you've submitted and done all that, if you go to submission timeline, for instance, you see we have a status here. For this application that I did on the 14th, my registration letter has been issued. So if I go to submission timeline, I'll be able to see everything that happened. The red stuff is what you're doing as an assessor. So it tells you I started, I put in my personal details, I did all this. It also tells you the time and the date. And then if you scroll to the bottom, after you submitted, on the MICT side, it's green. It tells you, okay, an advisor has been assigned, an administrator has been assigned, the application has been pre-approved, application has been approved, registration letter has been issued. So there you'll be able to keep track, and there are also dates and times for you to know, okay, this is what's happened with my application. Okay? All right. Any questions so far before I continue?
Yes, another question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I saw you showing up there between the assessor and the moderator that after you became an assessor for 1 year, so does the system automatically pick up you that you already became an assessor for that particular 1 year?
Yes, so it does pick up because we have your start date and end date. So we'll know after 1 year that that option will appear there.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That answers your question? Thank you. Any other questions on this page? So it's better we interact, and if there are any questions, we can quickly answer them. Everything looks simple? No questions? Okay. So the next thing is then you just click on open. This opens up your accreditation application where you can then put in all your information. The first page there, and maybe let me explain the last page. So when you go to summary, summary shows you what you still need to do. Okay? So you see the red X's there. That means I still need to do that, and I still need to do that. And it also explains what needs to be done. The text next to it, it tells you what needs to be done. So if you are a new assessor, you will then probably, this will also be X because you need to put in all your personal details as well. So the reason why this is ticked off, which is the personal details, is because my details are already in there. I went to profile and I submitted all my details. But otherwise, all these need to be ticked off. The first one talks about your personal details, so you need to complete all your details, submit all your subsectors that you work in, and then click Save Personal Details. Okay? Once you're done with that, you just scroll back up, you click on Contact Details. You submit all your details. If your physical address is the same as your postal address, you just click that check button there, then to be copied over to postal address. Then you continue, you submit your province, municipality, area, postal code, all that stuff, and then you just click Save Contact and Address Information. Then you go to the next page. These are your personal qualifications. Remember, you're applying to extend your scope, which means you've done maybe a certificate in AI or software development or whatever the case may be. You need to put it here. Because when MICT SETA is evaluating you, they will check what qualification have you put here, what personal qualification have you uploaded here, and compare it to what qualification you want to be accredited for. Okay? So you cannot put end user computing certificate and then you say you want to do AI, or the qualification skills program is AI, because then there's no mismatch. So it needs to match what you put here as your qualification. Proof of qualification needs to match the qualification you're applying for to become accredited. Okay? Yeah, so this section here talks about your accreditation. Also, you note that it says, please submit certified documents not older than 6 months. So you just please make sure you submit certified documents not older than 6 months. So you just click Add Qualification. You specify the qualification, master's, certificate, PhD, whatever the case may be. You browse for the diploma, the document, that certificate. You also browse for the transcript, because then the transcript helps them to see what modules you covered or what modules you did in that qualification. And then you just say, please confirm if you're uploading certified documents. So you just check that to confirm that you're uploading certified documents not older than 6 months. And then you click Add Qualification. Okay? So you can add as many. If you have 7 qualifications, feel free to put them there. Put all your qualifications there if this is going to help your application. The next section is your qualifications application. So qualifications and certificates are your personal certificates, and then this is what you're applying for to become accredited. That's why it puts their application. So then you specify by going to add qualification to assess, you specify your subsector, whether it's film, IT, and whatever the case may be. When you select the different subsectors, then all the qualifications, accredited qualifications, will come up here. Then you specify which ones you want to add. So you can add as many as you want as well. But of course, they need to speak to your personal qualifications as well in order to be accredited for them. Okay. So you can add them, and then you click Add Qualification to Assess. So remember, you need to come here, choose the subsector first, because the subsector talks to the qualification. So if I choose advertising, then it's just those qualifications. If I choose film and media, then it's those qualifications. So depending on what if you don't see your qualification, make sure that you're selecting the correct subsector. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? Nothing. The next is unit standards. So unit standards, if you want to add any unit standards, you go through the same process. You specify the qualification, and then you specify the unit standards as well. The next one is occupational qualifications. So this has to deal with your skills programs and your occupational certificates that you want to assess. So you specify whether it's a skills program or an occupational certificate. So you click on skills program, and then you'll be able to look for the qualification there. And you can add as many as you want. Okay? And then you just click on Add Occupational Qualification to Assess. Once you're done and you now want to also add an occupational certificate, you come back there, you click on Occupational Certificates, and you select the occupational certificates you want to be able to assess. So remember, everything that I'm doing here is the same also for moderator. So it's the same form, it's just that at the top you see to moderate. So just the wording changes. But then it will be attached to your moderator, moderator number. So this for assessment will be attached to your assessor profile, and if you go to moderator extension of scope, they'll be attached to your moderator number. Okay? And remember, what you do for assessor does not carry over to moderator. You still need to also apply for the qualifications you want to moderate. After that is the attachments. So over here, you have to put your certified ID copy. Once again, for all the certified documents, they need to be not older than 6 months certified. Okay, that stamp that you get from SAPS needs to be 6 months or less than 6 months. You put your CV, you put your ETDP statement of results, you put your work permit if you need one, if you're not a South African citizen or a permanent resident. And then the last part is the summary. So the summary shows you what is missing. And we will not allow you to submit an application which is incomplete. And you'll see now these are missing, and if you go there, I cannot submit. It's grayed out. So it will be grayed out until you submit all your information, and then it will turn orange and you'll be able to submit your application. Once you've submitted your application, that's it. It goes to MICT SETA, and they begin to do the verification from their side. And by verification, they check all your qualifications, compare them to all the clever things they do there. All right, that's your application process. Any questions?
Engineer, please take us to that part of accreditation.
To the part of?
Accreditation.
Accreditation.
Yeah, accreditation, yeah.
You mean the qualifications?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Oh, I go through it again. Should I go through it again? Okay, okay. So to add a qualification, so first of all, if you look on this page, at the top here, you'll find qualification application. So this is what you're applying for now. Remember, what I'm doing now is I'm extending my scope. Okay? So what I'm applying for will appear here. So no qualifications to assess have been added yet. But I still have my previous qualifications. and they will show up at the bottom. So it even says your current approved qualifications. So they will show up at the bottom. So these have already been approved. I'm not applying for these. These have been approved, so you'll find them there. If you click on that number, it takes you to, it's supposed to open up that SAQA page that has the qualification details. So to add a qualification, you go to add qualification to assess. You specify the subsector, okay? So whether it's IT or telecommunications or whatever, you select it and then you click add qualification to assess. So now you see, right now it tells me application for this certificate exists. So I need to select another qualification. The reason why that has happened is because it's somewhere here. As you can see, I have so many that I am able to assess. I added, I think, all of them to my profile. So most of them are already there. So it will not allow you to add something that you're already accredited for. So it will give you a warning in orange telling you that qualification you're trying to add already exists. Please select another qualification that you want to extend your scope. Okay? So it's a bit difficult for me now because most of them are already there for me. Does that answer your question? So now you just go there, add qualification, choose subsector, and then choose the qualifications appear here, qualification to assess. Then you just choose the ones you want to add. So this same thing works for unit standards and it works for occupational certificates as well. And also the table at the bottom shows you the same thing. At the top, this is what I'm trying to extend my scope. So these are the qualifications I'm trying to add to my scope at the top here. At the bottom, these are my currently approved occupational qualifications. Same thing with unit standards. At the top here, it will show me the ones that I'm trying to add now to extend my scope. At the bottom, it will show me those that I'm already approved for. And that's why you see the status as approved. All right. Okay. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Your concern is noted, and we do understand your frustration. And obviously, because we've moved to now this system, it is able to track as to when you submitted your application. As Mark had indicated, actually showed you, you are able to track that you submitted your application on this date. This is the date when the application was allocated to an administrator, to an advisor like that. So our process takes 30 working days. 30 working days for your application to be approved. So the system will also be able to send notifications to the people who are supposed to evaluate your application. So the administrator who is supposed to evaluate your application will receive a notification indicating that this application has been assigned to you. So you need to ensure that you log in and actually approve. The advisor allocated will also be able to receive notifications. This is just to ensure that we are able to track from the system. So we do understand that with the current processes that we have, manual processes, we are not obviously able to go back and say, okay, this application was submitted on this date. We are supposed to verify it timelessly and so forth. Hence, we have developed the system in a way that we have developed it to address all those gaps. Right? Thank you.
Thank you, Bui. Any other questions before I move on to the next? Before I move on to the next thing? No questions? We're fine? All right, so that's the application. So we've dealt with applications. So we all know how to renew and how to extend our scope, yes? One thing that I've mentioned earlier is we're going to put videos at the top here. Sorry, buttons for you to watch the video. So when you click on the button, it will ask you, okay, so it will show you the video of how to do some of these things, how to apply, how to add your qualification, how to do everything that needs to be done here. So you're going to find a watch video or watch training video button at the top there. So we're going to try and put it on every page during this period for you to be able to just help you do whatever it is that you need to do. So you'll find buttons at the top when you log in that will show you all these videos. Also remember, when you click on that, you go to the help, it will open up a help page where you'll be able to view the videos as well. So to tell you assessor, assessor registration, do this. Extension of scope, do that. Programs, do that. So you'll be able to find all those videos there. Okay. All right. And also, we are also there at MICT SETA to help if there are any questions as well. And also suggestions. If you think that there's a better way of doing something, faster for you, that will help you, you're able to suggest. So you just put it there in the ask, and then you say, okay, maybe we should do things this way. Because remember, this is your system. You're the ones using it. So it's to help you and not to hinder you or to slow down your processes. All right, so we've done the dashboard, we've done the profile, we've done the documents, we've done the applications. The next section, which I think a lot of you, at least those that we've dealt with, have mentioned is a problem, is training providers using your details without actually using you. I think that has happened to some assessors previously. So now what will happen is when a training provider adds you as an assessor, so let's say MICT Solutions, IT Solutions adds you as an assessor, you will receive a request on the system asking you to verify that you are working with MICT IT Solutions. MICT IT Solutions will also submit that MOU or SLA or contract that you have between each other. So between the training provider and the assessor. So they will submit that contract as well on the system. You'll be able to view the contract, then you'll be able to approve or reject. So if you reject it, it means MICT IT Solutions is lying about using you as an assessor or moderator. So if you click on training provider requests, so these are requests you're getting from training providers. There are two, so there's assessor requests and moderator requests. Obviously, I have two because I'm both an assessor and a moderator. If you're just an assessor, you'll only have assessor requests. If you're just a moderator, you'll only get the moderator requests. So if you click on that, that takes you to a page where you're able to view the training providers that have added you, the date they requested your participation or your services, the SLA or contract that you have between them, between the two of you, and the status, whether you've accepted or not. Now to accept, all you have to do is click the orange button, Actions, and then you can either accept or reject. So this one is reject because I've already accepted. But if you go to pending, you see that we have both accept and reject. So you can either accept, reject. If you accept it, and then things go sour between you and the training provider, you can come back and remove yourself by rejecting. So for instance, this one is already accepted. If I come back here, you see the only option I have is reject. Because now all I can do is reject. I've already accepted it, so I can't accept it again. So it's reject. And this will happen every single time a training provider adds you to a program. Yes, please. Or if you ignore them, it will just remain as pending, so they still can't use you. So you need to either accept or reject. If you ignore, it remains as pending. So on MICT SETA's side, when the training provider is submitting their details, it will look there and it will show that assessor is still pending because you've not yet accepted. So if you are working with them, please make sure you accept as soon as possible. Otherwise, they can't submit all their details until you've accepted, because they need to have an assessor, they need to have a moderator. Also, this is not just linked, it's not just linked to the training provider, but it's actually linked to the program. So what that means now, training provider 1 last year, or MICT Solutions, last year used me for programs 1, 2, 3, 4. This year, they don't have to, I'm not automatically their assessor. I still need to accept again to do those programs. So last year, yes, we had a good relationship, but this year, you can reject. So every time you add it to a program, not just the training provider, but the program, so that means every time they are submitting a program to do with MICT SETA, then they will submit your details as an assessor, and then you'll need to accept. So it's not just they do it once, you accept, and that's it for life. You're with them. No. Every time they submit a program, whether it's 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, depending on your programs that you do, once you've accepted it, then yes, it's just for that period. But also in the middle, if something happens, you can always go back, reject it, and I need to get another assessor to do the assessments. Yes, sir.
So that will happen irrespective whether you're working full-time for the organization or not?
Yes, so it will happen, irrespective of that. So even if you're working for MICT Solutions, as long as you're accredited, because remember, when you're accredited on the system as an assessor, you're not accredited under MICT Solutions. You're accredited as an individual, as an assessor. So you're not accredited under the training provider, but you're accredited as an individual on the system. So that means every time, because you might also leave the company, but you still want to continue working with them as an assessor, so you'll still be able to receive those requests. Then you either accept it, reject it, or ignore it, but then it remains as pending there on your system. All right, any questions on that? Everything is fine? Good. So this also works the same as moderator. So you go to assessor, you do your assessor your assessor requests, you approve, reject, yes, yes, yes. You go to moderator, you do the same thing. So it works the same. Then underneath that is accepted training provider. So these are programs that I've accepted, or the training providers that I've accepted to work with. And then underneath that is my programs. So remember I said when the training provider adds you, they're adding you to a program. So once you accept to be the assessor, then that program that you've accepted will go under programs. If you reject, then that program will not go under programs, because then you've rejected, so you're not the assessor. So it won't show up there. So this will only show you the programs you've accepted to be an assessor or a moderator for. You go under programs, then you select the role that you want to do, whether it's assessment or moderator. So the purpose of this is then you can add the POEs, you can do the assessment on the system. Okay? All right, so if I go to programs, I click on assessor, this opens up all the programs that I have or that I'm dealing with these different training providers. If I go to view learner list, so this opens up the programs. Remember the programs that I accepted? So it shows me the training provider. So these will be different training providers. It doesn't have to be the same one. So if you're an assessor for different training providers, they'll all show up here. It will show you the name of the program, because remember I told you you're attached to a program and not to a training provider. So which means, it shows you the name of the program. So whether it's EUC, whatever the program is. The duration of the program, the start date and end date of the program. The group of students that you're assessing. So for the larger group, some of the training providers add more than one assessor, and they mix you up, for the different groups. So you will see the group there, but you will only be able to assess your group. Next to that is the number of learners that you have in that group. Next to that is the status of that program. So you'll also be able to track the program. Next to that is the type of program, whether it's a qualification, a full qualification, or unit standards. You can need some water. I've talked too much. Yeah, I think it's back now. So next to that, yeah, the program type, whether it's a unit standard or unit standards or qualifications. So a training program might be a full qualification, or it might be selected unit standards. So that's what the program type means there. If it's selected unit standards, 10, 20 unit standards, or 5, then it will show unit standards. If it's a full qualification, it should show qualification. Next to that is actions. Actions, you'll be able to view the program, which is the implementation plan of the program that the SDP submitted, and I'll show you that on the SDP side. And then next to that, you'll be able to view the learners, the learner list, and applications. So when I go to my learner list, I'm able to see the learners that I'm assessing. So as you can see, it opens up this page that shows me the learners. Then underneath that is unit standards. So whether it's a full qualification or just unit standards, a full qualification also has unit standards. So you'll always see the unit standards there. If it's a full qualification, then you'll see all the unit standards for that qualification. But this does not mean that you assess all unit standards. So what happens is, and I'll show you this when we show the SDP side, the training provider side. A training provider can decide to integrate some of the unit standards. So they'll say unit standard 244580 is integrated with 10064. What that means is all assessments and moderation will just be done for one of the unit standards. Because you find that some of these unit standards, they overlap, you know. So they might decide instead of doing the same thing for all of them, rather integrate 1 or 2 or 3 unit standards, and then say these 3 unit standards, once assessed, they will be assessed as, you know, all 3 will be assessed. You assess 1, but all 3 are assessed. So that's the integration I'm talking about. So if you click on a specific unit standard, this takes you to a list of the students. So this will give you a list of all the students. All you'll have to do from your side is give a mark, you know, whether it is 50%, 63, whatever the case may be, and then specify whether they're competent or not by just clicking that, yes or no, and then you just have to put in your evidence. Most of you are already using an LMS anyway, whether it's Moodle or, you know, the other LMSs that are being used. So you just download that and you put it into here. You download that assessment file that you did on Moodle and just put it up in here. The thing is, MICT SETA still needs that information. So much as it's on your LMS, it also needs to be on their LMS because they need that for the verification from their side. Okay? So you just download that document, whether it's a PDF or whatever, and then you just upload it back into the system, into this system. So you just browse for it and then upload it. Once you've finished assessing all of them, this orange button will show up. And if you read the orange button, it says, send notification to the moderator. If you click that, a notification will be sent to the moderator to do his moderation, which means you finished from your side. You've done your work as an assessor. When the moderator logs in, they'll go to programs, click on moderator, and then do the exact same thing that we've done. The only difference is this that you see here will then move to the moderator side. Because this is your assessment report as an assessor. This is where you find your moderation report. They'll be able to view what you have assessed, then they'll moderate it and also upload it back into the system. Okay? So the assessor and moderator, they work the same. The only difference is what you're doing. So if you're an assessor, you find your details under assessment report. And that's why you see that on the moderator side, there's nothing you can do here. You find it under assessment report. You put your marks, you put your competency, and then you browse for the POE. If you're a moderator, then whatever you see here will be under moderator, where you'll be able to put your details, the moderation report and all that. Okay. Any questions on that? So once you finish, then you just click on upload. So if you have if you have 10 students, all you need to do is to submit all their information and then click the green button at the bottom. But if you've only assessed 1 or 2 out of the 10, you can still put the information, click the green button, come back tomorrow, you've assessed the other 2, put the information, click the green button. Remember, you need to click the upload selected files. Okay? Are we still together? All right, so once you've clicked that, once all of them have been assessed, then this orange button will show up. So when you go here, it doesn't mean now I need to do all my assessments. You can start and then finish later. Just remember to upload every time. Then it keeps, the system will keep track. Okay, you finish this person, you finish that person. When all 10 learners are complete, then the orange button to send notification to moderator appears. Yes, sir.
Can this be done continuously for that particular learner? Say it's a 1-year program, technical support. So we've done some assessment until April, for instance. What we then do, because you come back for that learner and continue with other assessments, with other unit standards. So in terms of competency, it will be a competency for that particular unit standard. You come back for the same learner again, or you do it once.
Oh, okay, so remember, there are different evaluations that MICT SETA does, and also depends on the duration of the course or of the qualification. So they have an induction, which is at the beginning. That's before you begin, so actually that will not bother you because you're assessors. But the next one is the interval verification. With that one, you need to have done 50% of the unit standards, right? Yeah, so you need to have assessed 50% of the unit standards and moderated them, the moderator. So you as assessors, you should have assessed 50%. That means the learners and the unit standards. So which means I've done 244580, so here there are so many unit standards, but you need to have done 5, or at least half of them. But remember, we also have integrations. So you might do 1 and you do 2 at the same time because of the integration. So that also helps with having to assess, everything and moderate everything. So you go there, you've done 24480, I've submitted. So right now I only have 1 learner, so it's hard to see. But let's say I have 10 learners. They'll all appear here, each row. So this is a table. So each row will have the learner. It will have the learner details, the result, the POE. So the POE is what has been submitted by the facilitator, so you can view it. The next is the assessment report section. That is where you do your assessments. Then the last one is the moderation report, where the moderator does his moderation for each of the learners. So you need to complete them, and then that unit standard has been marked as tick, as done, if assessor and moderator have completed all the learners for that unit standard. So then it is marked off. So remember, we're trying to get to that interval, which means 50%. So then I need to go to the next unit standard, and then do the same thing. Finish it, finished, everything is fine, everything is okay. So once half of it is done, then the SDP, which is the training provider, he is able to then apply for an interval verification from MICT SETA. But only the system will check and see, have you done 50%? If you're not yet done 50%, then it's unable to do it. So the earlier you do your assessments, the earlier they do these verification requests, and then also the earlier I think MICT SETA releases money for payment. So it's always better to do as quick as possible. So then you just move to the next and do the same. But remember, you don't have to do everything at once. The system will keep track of where you are. Just as long as you click upload selected files. Then you'll find a message at the top saying, selected files uploaded successfully. Taking you back to the application process as well, you don't have to do everything all at once. So for everything that you do on the system, we don't expect you to sit and just start doing everything. If you're doing your application, you can submit your qualifications, your personal qualifications, and then go home, or come back 2 days after and complete the rest. Submit the occupational qualifications you want to assess. Then come back 2 days after, submit your attachments. The system will keep track of what still needs to be done, only until you click the submit button, then it goes to MICT SETA. Same thing here, we shall keep track. The system keeps track of everything that you're doing. Okay? Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'd like to find out, you have given examples of only successful assessments and moderations. You have not given us an example of, in case an assessment is NYC, not yet competent, what happens? And when it is actually passed through to the moderator, when it is not found not yet competent. And in the case of a learner might be on first attempt, second attempt, does it apply here? Could you please clarify? Thank you.
Igwe?
Okay, as you can see, sir, it is indicated there whether it's competent or not. So you would have a yes or a no. So if the assessor indicates it's a no, then it simply means that the learner is not competent. The moderator will be able to see that from the system. Okay.
Also, when the system is calculating the certificates at the end, it will be able to see how many modules a specific learner is competent for. So if it's a full qualification and he has failed some of the modules, the learner will be able to get a transcript, you call it a statement of results, okay, for the modules that he's competent for, but they won't get the full qualification because they failed one or two modules. So then those unit standards then can be carried forward to another application. So they will have their statement of results with those unit standards that they are competent for. If they're competent for everything and it's a full qualification, then they will get that certificate and their statement of results. So at the end, even if it's a full qualification, a learner might not be able to get because some people fail. If they failed one or two unit standards, they just get statement of results of the unit standards that they passed, but they don't get the qualification, they don't get the certificate. If they pass everything, they get the certificate and the statement of results. Yes, sir.
I'd like to get a clarity. Is it possible on the system to upload a reassessment of the same unit standard?
Yes, it is. Sorry, the gentleman there, did we answer your question? We answered.
Yeah, I think my question is actually the same as what he was saying.
Or to
Because I was referring to
reassessment.
the first attempt, second attempt,
okay.
and third attempt.
Yes, no, you can go
Yeah,
back
okay.
and re-upload, yes.
No, thanks.
So what will happen is it will remove the previous one and then put the current one
Oh, okay.
that they have
Thanks.
passed. Yes, sir. So when you upload it, remember you're going to upload that POE. So you can upload all those assessments that you've done and say now he's competent. Then this will go to the moderator. The moderator will be able to look through as well and then say, yes, everything is fine. Because at the end of the day, MICT SETA will be able to look and see, okay, at the end what happened with this learner for this unit standard. Is he competent or not? What happened in between? You know, like you were saying before, you were doing it, offline. So at the end, they just want to know, is this learner competent for these unit standards? Do you have evidence for that by submitting the POE? So that's all they need to know. So that's what you submit there. If you've done all the reassessments and this person is still failing, then unfortunately, I guess at some point you need to pull the plug and then submit the failure there. Unfair.
We've done everything and this person failed. Isn't it
I feel, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In a perfect world, we would give them opportunities over and over and over again. But the reality is that some of these learners would not even attempt to, remediate. So you would give them opportunities over and over again. At the end of the day, the assessor has to conclude their assessment report. The moderator has to moderate. So the reason you have to indicate in the system that this learner is not competent for this unit standard, the learner might have completed other unit standards so that we can, when we verify, we can issue SORs to these learners who have completed unit standards. At a later stage, perhaps the learner might come back to complete those unit standards so that they can be issued the full qualification. So we would like to give them endless opportunities, but at the end of the day, they're going to disadvantage the other learners who actually would like to complete. Okay. This. Unfortunately not. The qualification rules do specify as to what the learner should achieve. So the learner should achieve all the core unit standards. The learner should achieve all the fundamental unit standards. Then the electives, the learner can then achieve some of the electives if it's not a specialization. You cannot make an exception, unfortunately. Right. Thank you. Any other questions? Excuse me, what is that? Enrolled learners. Withdrawn. Okay, so withdrawn learners, if you have any learners who are withdrawn from the program, so we would obviously have a process whereby you can declare the learner competent for unit standards. Let's say this learner has completed some of the unit standards, right? You can declare that learner competent for those unit standards, and for the rest, you will indicate that the learner has not completed. The learner is withdrawn from the program. It's the same process as the gentleman has indicated here. If a learner has completed certain unit standards, they'll be declared competent for those. If the learner is withdrawn from the program and other unit standards have not been completed, then it simply means that the learner is not competent for the full qualification. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yes, sir? Noted. You can press the mic if you would like to comment. You can just press the mic so that everyone can be able to hear you. So there are two processes. Obviously, you would have learners enrolled for funded programs and learners enrolled for non-funded. So if learners are enrolled for funded programs, it is a requirement that they complete the workplace. They can complete the whole learner POE, but if they do not have that workplace component, you cannot declare them competent because they would have not acquired those notional hours. And for non-funded programs, the learners have to do their theory and their practicals. It is a requirement that they do their theory and their practicals. So I'm not too sure as to whether it was a funded program or it was a non-funded program. But in any case, we will
Experience
attend
for
to
both.
that for both.
Yeah.
All right, I noted. But with the new system, if those type of problems, you will not be experiencing them in any way. You will not be experiencing them in any way. They will be attended to, because in any case, if learners are going to do the practical component, it will have to be captured from their learner POEs. If they're going to do the workplace component, it will have to be captured from the system. And remember, because it would be a funded program, it will be linked from the learning program division as well. So it will be noted. Right.
All right, yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks a lot. I'd like also to find out, could you clarify further on logbook processes? Because it's normally divided onto the section where there's training of the learners, the activities that the learners do themselves, and then you have practicals that needs to be done, and workplace that needs to be done, and that is now catered for by the mentors who are in those places, because you would not be there physically to see what is done. Could it be clarified so that in the end of the day, when documents are submitted, they meet the entire requirements? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So your logbooks, they cover your workplace component. So your learners will do their theory, their practical, and they will go to their workplace to do their the workplace component. So their supervisors have to indicate that on a daily basis, this is what the learners were doing, and sign off. As a training provider, and I need to stress this, to everyone, especially if you are training on funded programs. It is very much important that you also do your site visits. It is important that you go to the workplace to verify whether or not these learners are actually getting the relevant work experience. If a learner is enrolled for technical support, you cannot have the learner making copies, making tea. So it is your responsibility as well as a training provider to ensure that the learner is getting the relevant experience. So from the logbook, we would indicate what the learner has been doing.
Further clarification, please.
Okay.
For example, as it was indicated earlier, that in case of credit of 130, it means you need 1,300 hours. You are not likely to get 1,300 hours from a workplace. What happens then during the course of the training and other activities done internally within the institution? Thank you.
Okay, so from your service level agreement, it will be indicated as to how long the learner is supposed to be spending their time in the classroom and the workplace as well. So when you do your implementation plan as a training provider, you need to take that into consideration. So you will cover each unit standard and give the learner their time and indicate that in the classroom, this is how many hours you're going to spend doing this unit standard. And in the workplace, employer, please ensure that the learner spends so much time covering this and that. You need to give the employer a plan on what they need to do. Right? Are you answered? Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Nothing. All right, so that's the assessor and the moderator. Basically, that's what you do on the system. You do your applications, whether it's a renewal, extension of scope, and then you also deal with your programs. Any questions, any suggestions, what's your feel on the system? Is there anything that you feel we should have done to make it a bit easier, or is there any comments on the assessor and the moderator module? No comments?
Can I make a request?
Yes, sir.
Mpumalanga is not as fortunate as other big metropolitan areas. And private institutions and corporate sections are very minimal. And all these learners are supposed to go for practical activities. And you find that the specialty that we have, very low percentage of some of them exist in the province. It therefore then comes to a stage whereby you might need to compromise on some of the environment, because somebody might say, I can only take one. What happens to the rest? And this is a situation where I would want to suggest possibly that, is there any forum that you can include all these different, diverse human resource base and expertise, so that we can communicate within ourselves and see what the province can provide, because I think this is what the province can provide from here. So I would like to suggest that can MICT might be create a forum where all this expertise can actually work together and communicate, as opposed to having assessors group or moderators group and then SDPs groups. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. That is noted. Thank you. We'll look into it. Any suggestions regarding the system? Is there anything you'd like for us to add? Anything that you would like to be modified from the system? Remember that you are going to be using this system, so it is meant for you. Mark has indicated that it is your system. We're very fortunate as MICT SETA that we have developers who are actually, open to us actually putting in, editing and doing all of that. So if you have any suggestions whatsoever, please do advise. Right. So we do have that ask button. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to send your suggestions there. And should you like to communicate with us, you can just send an email to etqa@mict.org.za. Right, thank you.
All right, so we're done with the assessor, so we're going to deal with the STPs. I don't know if we need to take a 5-minute break or stretch their legs, or would we just continue? We continue? 5 minutes, right? We continue. Sorry? So is it 5 minutes or continue? I mean, I continue 5 minutes. 5 minutes break. Is that break? 5 minutes, eh? Okay. The 5-minute break, people, I think 5 minutes? Okay. So we'll just have a 5-minute, please let it be 5 minutes. Previously we said 5, then it was 20 minutes.
Yes.
So just because we need to finish by 1, so let's try to make it 5 minutes. let's begin. Let's continue. So the next profile we're going to look at are the training providers. So this is going to be, I'm going to explain this, but I won't spend so much time on it because it's the same as the assessor and the moderator. They're registering onto the website as a training provider. If you're a new training provider, you go to registration. You go to register. Actually, they can't actually register the new training provider anymore because of the phasing out. We removed that, yeah. Yeah, so actually, when it comes to training providers, you can no longer register if you're new. So you need to be an existing training provider, especially for the old qualifications. So I won't explain the register section. That's not necessary for you. So if you're a training provider accredited by MICT SETA, it means we have your information. So what you need to do is to go back to the website, the MICT SETA website. Remember I showed you, you go to stakeholder information. Let me back. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, so you go to stakeholder information. So you go to the MICT SETA website, mict.org.za. You click on stakeholder information, opens up this page, then you just click on these roadshows that we're dealing with now. When you click on that, it will open up a new page at the bottom. You see, click here for training provider registration. So that's where you go. So this is just special for those training providers that are already accredited by MICT SETA. So please, not a new training provider, but one that is existing. So you click that, it will take you to a page where you can do the same thing as assessor. Remember the one below it is for the assessor registration. So if you are an accredited assessor, you go to that one. Create assessor, click here for assessor moderator registration. If you're a training provider, you click this one. If you're both, you click one of them first, then you click the other one as well to also register as that. Then you'll have both profiles. You'll be a training provider and an assessor and moderator. Okay? So training provider is the institution, Q Solutions, what, all those things. That's the training provider. All right, so if you click on training provider registration, it takes you to this page where you put in your accreditation number, and then you put in your email address that is registered. So the contact person from that training institution. So we do have a contact person, but once again, we might have old information, or a person who left your company, or an STP that no longer works with your company. So if you do the search, send OTP, it will tell you at the top where it has sent that email address and cell phone number. If you see it is wrong, then all you have to do is contact MICT SETA and tell them, look, I no longer work with this person, or this person left the company, so please update my information. Obviously, this comes with proof that you're representing the company. So once you get that, you get an SMS with the OTP. So remember, the OTP goes to both your cell phone number and your email address. And it shows that the blue message at the top tells you which email address it sent it to and which cell phone number. So once you click on Fetch Profile, then you'll be able to view your profile. Remember, the first thing here is the accreditation letter, so please upload your original accreditation letter, the letter that you got. It will also pull up all your other information that you had on the that we have on the system. Make sure to complete all the information, just like with the assessor and the moderator section, because we need all this information. Your location. If you don't know your location, the system can either do it for you automatically, or you can click on GPS coordinates. This takes you to a page where you can put in your address and just make sure we get the correct address. You complete everything, then you also complete your personal details as well. Then we add you as the contact person for that, as the main contact person for that training provider, and you can log in using your email address and the password that you select at the bottom. Remember, password has to be 14 characters long. It needs to have one small letter, one lowercase letter, one uppercase letter, a number, and a character as well. But we guide you as you type in the password. Then you agree, and say you're not a robot. Then you confirm your details. If you go back to the top, you'll be able to see your accreditation sites. So if we didn't pull up all your accreditation sites, remember they need to be accredited, which means they need to appear on that accreditation letter. So if we didn't pull it up, just click on Add Training Site and add it. MICT will have to verify that, yes, you're adding the correct training sites. So don't go and add sites that have not yet been accredited. I'll show you how to add a site that has not yet been accredited. At this point, what you're doing is you're verifying your current accreditation. So you're verifying your details, because some of the details are incomplete. You then move to the next as well. You'll be able to view the qualifications that you're accredited for as a training provider. If there are some electives that need to be selected, you will also find them at the bottom here, and you see a button that says select, select, select. So we automatically take all the core credits and fundamental credits, but then you will need to submit the electives. And also, we'll be able to check, the system will check if there are 27. So what will happen is it will list all the unit standards, all the electives, unit standards at the bottom, and there'll be a select button there. So as you select, this will turn black. It will turn orange. So what happens is, the system knows all the rules for each qualification. So some qualifications have specializations, some qualifications have electives, and you need to select a specific number of credits for those electives. When you open up this page and you find that this qualification 49077 is black and not orange, then what that means is you've not selected the complete number of credits for electives or specialization. So you just need to add them at the bottom, on the action section here. You'll be able to add all the electives that you're doing or that you are accredited for. All right? Because like we mentioned earlier, there are some qualifications that have more electives, and you don't have to do all of them to get your qualification because you've gotten the minimum credits required for that course. So you might decide as a training provider, these are the electives that we do for this specific course. So you specify them there. It will then turn orange once you reach 27, the maximum or the minimum credits for electives. You can add more. You don't have to stop there. You can add all of them if you want. But you need to have the minimum of, for this example, 27. Okay? And it's just a button. So it will list them like this, and it will be a button there that says add, 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 add. You just have to click, 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 click. As simple as that. Okay? The next section is unit standards. So this will show you any unit standards that you're accredited for. So if you're just accredited for specific unit standards, they will show up there. The next is the ETD practitioner. So that's your facilitators, your assessors, your moderators. This is where you add them as a training provider. You just have to click add facilitator, you specify the details, you add the CV, the ID copy. Remember, for all these things that need certification, it needs to be 6 months. Not older than 6 months, or not more than 6 months, sorry. Submit all the information and add. You can add as many as you want. So you can add 5 facilitators, you can add 10 assessors. This is important when you're submitting your program, and I'll show you that later. Because when you're submitting a program, you need to specify, I am going to work with assessor A, and I'm going to work with moderator B for this program. And then this is where I spoke of earlier, where you will then receive as an assessor an email and a notification in the system saying, you've been requested to work with so-and-so, this training provider. So then you go down to assessor and you add the assessor. Now with the assessor, it's a bit different. You don't add their details because we have all the assessors in the system. So what you need to do is to just put in their registration number. You know, the RAA/something something. So you just put that in and then you search for the assessor. If they are an MICT SETA accredited assessor, then they will show up there. If they are not, then they won't show up. because, yeah, they need to be accredited by MICT SETA. And you'll also see that this is grayed out until you search for an actual assessor that is accredited by MICT SETA. Next, with the moderator, you do the same. You just search for the moderator using the moderator registration number, RMD / something something. So you just put that there, and then you click search. It will look through the system and then bring back the moderator that has been received. And then you just add the moderator. The last is the first aider for that site. So you need to specify the first aider, and you specify all the information as well. Any questions? Any questions on this? Also, we're going to add videos here for you as well, training you on how to use each of these different tabs. So they will show you, okay, to add a moderator, do this, do this, do that. To add an assessor, do this, do this, do that. So we will guide you. We will put all those videos there at the top. Yes, sir.
Certifications that
The first aider should have a minimum of level 1, a certificate, a minimum of level 1, and it should be valid. It should have not expired. So obviously from the certificate, there'll be an indication at the bottom that the certificate is valid for so many years, or it expires on this year. You need to ensure that it has not expired. Thank you.
Any other questions? Right. The last page is a summary which just shows you what is still left to build up your profile. So as you can see, it will tell me you need to add at least one first aider to every site, you need to add a facilitator, you need to add an assessor. So it tells you no facilitator added. So it guides you. So this is just a guide. The idea here is to make sure everything is green and has a tick. So each of these pages will need to be completed. All right, so once you're done, then that's it. You've registered, or you've verified your information on the system, and then you can log in to add programs, add learners, renew your accreditation, or add a training site. Okay. So all you'll be able to do on the application is the renewal and the change of site, or adding a training site. You can't add any extension of scope because I think that they are being phased out. The qualifications are being phased out. So once you log in as a training provider, it will tell you, your training provider portal at the top. So that's the name of the company that you're working with. This is your dashboard. So you see, it's similar to the assessor moderator section. When you log in, the first page that you go to is the dashboard. The dashboard here will tell you how many induction approvals, how many interval approvals, exit approvals. So those are, during a program, those are different stages that MICT SETA has to come and evaluate your learners. On the right-hand side is the announcements. So similar as assessor moderator, if there are any announcements that MICT SETA wants to send out to you, you find them there. The next is your accreditation letter and accreditation logo. So the logo is basically a logo that says that that you are an accredited MICT SETA training provider. Underneath that is your learning program requests. So this is attached to the DG grants that companies get. So let's say company X applied for a DG grant from MICT SETA. You remember the LPD gentleman, Mr. Ernest, what he was talking about, how many applications they got and all that. So if Company X has applied for a grant for a learning program, but Company X then hires you as their training provider to provide training for their students, for their learners. Once they do that, you get a request as well. So similar to once you add an assessor, they get a request. Once a company also adds you as a training provider for that company, you also will get a request saying that, yes, I am the training provider for this company, or no, I'm not working with this company. Once you accept it, then that program is then pulled from LPD, from Learning Programs Department, and then put under you, including the learners as well, that the employer submitted to MICT SETA. So on the LPD side, how it works is a company will go and they'll apply for the DG, for the DG grants. You know, I want to do learning programs or this and this and that, you know, for this NQF level and all that, give it a name. Once they've been approved by LPD, they'll be given an SLA and, you know, given an SLA and then they'll have access to the system. What they then do is they submit all the information and the, you know, documents that they need to submit. They submit the learner information and they also submit the training providers that are going to be training the learners. And also the host companies, if there's a host company doing the university, doing the work-based learning module for that specific learning program. So they submit all that on the system. Now, once they submit you as a training provider, you then get a request, and this is what comes up here. This request, GICS, whatever MICT Tech is requesting for a short course or a skills program or a learnership, and I'm the training provider. So that request comes up and appears here. Then you from your side, because sometimes these companies go and use your details, and yet you're not actually working with them. Once you've accepted them, then all those learner details will then be pushed to you. Then you'll be able to view the learners. So, and maybe I'll explain this later because it's easier when I'm showing you. But so there are two ways of getting learners. You either get them from learning programs, from the employer that submitted the learner list to MICT SETA, because remember, they are working with the grants. And for them to get a grant, they need to submit the learner list. So they're the ones who submit the learner list. Then it's pulled to you if you accept to be their training provider. If it's a non-funded program, you can then add the learners yourself, because then that's non-funded. If it's funded, it means it's funded by MICT SETA. So it can be, for us here, when we say funded, we mean funded by MICT SETA. When we say non-funded, we mean it's not funded by MICT SETA. It could be funded by someone else, but this is an MICT system, so for us, we say non-funded by MICT SETA. So if it's a non-funded program, you can then add the program yourself and also add the learners. Then MICT SETA does the verifications and the certification at the end, but they're not funding you. Okay? Which
one? We've noted your comments online. Unfortunately, we are not able to respond due to the POPIA Act. If you can please send your requests to etqa@mict.org.za, etqa@mict.org.za. We will attend to your queries. Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, so on the left-hand side, we have the main menu. So we have the dashboard where we are. We have the profile, similar to Assessor Moderator. This is where you edit your profile. You can view your letters, your accreditation logo. You can view your qualifications and things like that. Next is Training Provider Documents. So this is any documents that MICT SETA might be sending to you. So you find them there. After that is Applications. So applications, these are applications that you are an application to either extend you can't extend, either add a site, add an additional site, or to renew your accreditation. So similar to Assessor Moderator, you just go to Start New Application, then you specify add or edit training site or renew. So you only have two options. Of course, if your accreditation is still valid, then you can't renew because it's still valid. If the accreditation has expired, then that option to renew will be there. Then you just specify what your position is in the company, and then you add that application. Then the submission timeline, similar to what I mentioned earlier. So submission timeline is to help you. The submission timeline just keeps track of everything that has happened with your application. So that you can know, okay, MICT SETA, I don't know why things are popping up everywhere. MICT SETA has looked at it, ETQA manager has assigned this, so you're able to view where your application is. And then open application just opens up the application for you to be able to add and whatever needs to be done. So the first one is the training provider section where you edit all your training provider details, whatever needs to be edited. The next will be your personal details, so you as the person applying, because we need to have a contact person at the institution. So yeah, so you edit your information there. To add a new site, you go to sites, and this is where you add it. There will be an add button there. So this application has already been submitted, so you won't find any add buttons. So you can edit your application until you submit it. Same thing with the assessor moderator. Until you submit it, you can edit the application. Once you've submitted it, then it's locked and you can't change information because MICT SETA has started working on it. And then also, obviously, at the end, so you need to go through all the different links, submit all your attachments, all these documents that need to be submitted. You need to upload them onto the system. You need to add the ETD practitioners as well, or specify, especially with the addition of site, you need to specify this assessor works with this site, this moderator works with that site. And this is where you do that. As you can see, the facilitator, it shows you my two sites. Assessor, it shows the two sites. So you need to do that here as well. And then lastly is the summary. And this is where, this is where you're able to view and see what still needs to be done. So if you see on all the pages of applications, you'll always see a summary section. That summary section is to guide you on what still needs to be done. Okay? The next section here, so that's the applications. Any questions in the application section? Any questions? No questions. All right. Just want to check something. Yeah. The next would be the programs. So the programs are, remember there are two ways of getting programs. You can either get the programs from learning programs, LPD department, which is the DG grants. Those are the funded programs. Or you can add a non-funded program. Okay? When you get a funded program, this program comes attached to a learning program. So it comes attached to a DG, to an SLA that MICT SETA has with a company that applied for a DG grant. That SLA comes with also a list of learners. Because when they are submitting their information, they need to submit and say, I'm working, or we've recruited 10 or 15 or 20 learners, depending on what the SLA says. So you as a training provider do not have to add these learners. These learners will already be in the system. Because for MICT SETA to activate the learning program, the employer needs to say they are working with these learners. And then also for you to get the request, the employer needs to say, this learner is working with this training provider. So I might have 20 learners, but I'm working with two different training providers. So the employer will say, okay, for these 10 learners, you're working with training provider X, so training provider X is training you. And then for these other 10, training provider Y is training you. You as training provider X will get your learners, the learners that you will be training. And those are the ones that you'll be able to view. You won't be able to see the other learners. Is that fine? The second way is a non-funded program. So you want to add a non-funded program, and you want to get certification from MICT SETA. To do that, you go under Add Programs. Okay, this button here. You specify the details. Specify that it is not funded by MICT SETA, but you can, if it's funded by another SETA, you can specify yes or no. If you say yes, then we will ask you what SETA it is. So we shall show you the list of SETAs, then you just let us know. If you say no, then that is removed.